Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video we're going to go over how to create a three-dimensional text effect in Affinity Designer. Okay? First I want to do a quick shout out to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining my channel, and a huge thank you to all my subscribers out there for supporting me. I really do appreciate it. We've got a lot to cover, so let's just jump right in and get started. This is what we're going to create today. I'm going to show you how to do this three-dimensional effect, but first I want to show you a couple examples. I just googled 3D text effect, and this is some of the things I found. So you can just do a plain black and white with a little bit of a gradient there. This one shows a gradient, but it's two layered colors, and then the stroke is actually set off a little bit, so it looks like there's some hidden layers or some clear layers in there. Adds a lot of depth to that one. This particular example is really good. They took this whole letter, changed it to gray and moved it to the back and used it as a shadow. Really, really nice effect. This is very similar to what we're going to do today. This effect down here, they just created their letters and then they changed the size a little bit, changed the color, and stacked them up. Okay, and in this example, they actually applied a pattern to the inside of the letters, and then their shadow they added going the opposite direction. Okay. All of these effects you can do with the technique I'm going to show you today, and that's why I want to show you all the different ways that you can use this technique in Affinity Designer. Okay, so we got a lot to cover. We'll just go ahead and get started. So first over here, we'll go ahead and hide this layer. We need to draw out our text, so go to your text tool in your tools panel, left hand side. We're going to use a Santa Fe font, so we'll click and drag in the workspace to an approximate size, then type your letters. Then we'll go ahead and select those letters. And I'm going to bring this over, bring it in the workspace a little bit, and then we're going to come up and adjust the size up in the context toolbar and hit enter. Okay. Now we need to manipulate this as a vector object. So we need to create a vector object. A lot of things we're going to do to it we can't do as text. Okay, so up in the context toolbar there is a convert to curves, and this will turn your text into vector objects. So we'll go ahead and select that. Now you'll notice in the layers panel you have a group of individual objects. Okay, and the word curve there means that it is a vector object. You can always check by going over to your node tool in your tools panel, this little white arrow, and clicking that, and if you see the nodes on both sides, then you've created a vector object. Okay, so notice some of these letters are overlapping. Okay, we need to be able to apply a stroke to this as an object, so we need to have all these as one piece. So we'll go ahead and just select all of these. Hold down your shift key, select all of those layers. We're going to come up to your geometry tools up in your toolbar and select add. Now you have one vector object. We'll go ahead and use shift command G will ungroup this so it's all separate by itself. Now we need to make some copies of this. We need to make 5 copies. Okay, so you can right click and hit duplicate, or you can do Control C and Control V and that whole thing if you like. Let's see, is that 5 yet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so down at the bottom, we're going to name these real quick for illustration purposes, just so we can keep track of what's going on. It's easier to explain. So they start from the bottom, and we're going to name them gray, black, white. Then we'll have the main, which is going to be the main text. You have a shadow here, and actually we're going to rename that one dark. Makes it easier, and then this one's just going to be red. Okay, we'll go down to the bottom. We're going to hide the bottom 4 layers. Okay, so we don't see those. So the only 2 we're going to see are the dark and the red. We're going to change the color of the dark one. I already have it here in my color picker, but I'm going to go drag that color picker over and on my palette there and select that, and it appears in this button here, and then you click to apply it. You can see in the layers panel that it did change color. So, but we're going to go ahead and grab this red layer, the top layer, and we're going to move it over and we're going to pull it down and to the right. Okay, so what we're doing is we're exposing the shadow of the layer that we're going to use. Okay, so be kind of generous because it's going to be clipped inside, and you'll have that way you have a little bit more to work with. Okay, so if you get it the way you like it, then go ahead and hold down your shift key and select that dark layer. So you have both the red and the dark layer selected. Then back up to your geometry tools and you're going to select subtract. When you subtract something, the top layer affects the bottom layer. So we're subtracting the red from the dark, and what we end up with is the dark. Okay, now you'll notice there is a little bit here. If you don't like this, you can go ahead, go back to your node tool here, and we can just click and drag a marquee over those, selecting them, and then go ahead and hit the delete key. So if you want to get rid of all those little bits, you can do that. That's how you do it. Okay, so we have our dark layer selected. We're going to go ahead and clip that into the main layer. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on our main layer, and then we're going to drag. Oops, I don't want it selected that way. I want to select the layer, not the name. So we're going to drag this layer down in. Now you see that red bar? It's supposed to go just to the right of that icon, and that's when you want to release it. So now it's clipped inside, and I'll show you over here in your workspace. It's clipped inside of that layer. Okay, so just position it there. Okay, and we can go ahead and close that group up. Now I'm going to go ahead, now the next layer is white. Go ahead and turn that layer on, and go ahead and drag that layer all the way to the top. Oops, drag that layer all the way to the top. And we want to work with the colors here on this layer. So we want to apply a white stroke. So get your stroke icon out there, selected. Go back to your swatches and you can select a nice pure white. Select your fill icon here and hit no color. Okay, so we just have our white stroke. Then we're going to go to our stroke panel and we can adjust this a little bit. Okay, so I put a pretty big stroke in there. What I want to show you though real quick is, you see these edges right here? They're not very sharp. And this is something that when you work with strokes or lettering, actually any object I guess, if you want those to be nice and sharp, you can adjust that here with this miter value here in the strokes panel. Just highlight that, and a value of 4 will get you a nice, and then hit enter, and you'll notice it now we have nice sharp points there. Okay, so that's how you can correct that. So we have our stroke selected, our stroke layer. We want to have just the stroke as a vector object, not as the stroke around an object. So what we want to do is we want to, what they call in Affinity Designer, we want to expand the stroke. So you have to have your layer selected, go up to layer in your menu bar and down to expand stroke. Now, like I said before, you can check this by going to your node tool. You can see that it's a vector object. It has nodes on both sides. And we want to do that because we can go ahead and rename this stroke. We want to apply an effect. So I want to apply a 3D effect to that, just a little bit. That's all I want. You can do whatever you like. When you are doing this, maybe you're following along with me in Affinity Designer, that would be good. Apply an effect, whichever one you like. I like 3D just a little bit on that, makes it pop. Okay, and then back to the layers panel. So let's lock our stroke layer. We're done with that. We can lock our main text layer. Let's go down to our black layer. We're going to unhide that and actually unhide the gray layer as well. So we have the black layer selected. Let's go back to our color panel and we're going to make it black, do the fill as black, and we're going to go to our gray panel, our gray layer, and select that fill as gray. It really doesn't matter what color gray because we're going to change it. It's just for illustration purposes. So you have the gray layer selected. Let's go ahead and turn off the stroke and the main so you can see these layers. We want to select the gray layer. We want to go ahead and make a copy of it. So hit Command J, go ahead and grab that layer. I'm going to make that a little bit lighter gray. So we'll go ahead. We've got this layer selected. We want to just bring it down and to the right. Now you want to do just a little bit, otherwise you're going to end up with a bumpy edge on the top of your depth, your 3D depth. So do just a little bit. So then hit Command J again, and we'll go ahead and nudge that one a little bit in the same direction. And then you continue to hit Command J, and it will duplicate not only the object, but it'll duplicate the distance, the size, and the direction that you were copying. Okay, so make as many copies as you like to the desired depth. Okay, then come back over to your layers panel. We have all these gray layers. You have the first one selected. Go down to the bottom, hold down your Shift key. So you have all of your gray layers selected. Okay, back up to your toolbar and to your geometry tools and select Add. So now that is all one layer. Select your black layer and then your gray layer, and we're going to subtract the black layer from the gray. Okay, so back up to your geometry tools and hit subtract, and you end up with just the gray layer. Okay, now if you turn back on your main text layer, so everything looks good, let's go ahead and apply some color. We'll go back up to our context toolbar. We have our gray layer selected. Back up to your context toolbar, and we'll select this fill right here. Okay, and this will give us access to this drop down panel here, where you can select, you can access your gradients, or your swatches panel, your color panel, and your gradients. And let's do a gradient. Now these are called color stops. We'll go ahead and select the right color stop. We'll grab our color picker, click and drag it down, and just that little square in the center has to be over the color, and then you notice it's in the button right here, and then to apply it just click the button. Select the other color stop. Now we want to add a color stop in the middle, and the way to do that is it will always add it to the right of the one that's active, so you have to have this active, and you'll get the opportunity to insert one. We want to make this one white, and so you can change that by going down here to this color panel here and selecting white. Select this color stop, grab that color picker, pick the lighter yellow, click to apply. Okay, so we have it applied. Now we're going to select our fill tool on our tools panel. Okay, and when we select that layer, you get your, what I call the gradient bar. I'm not really sure what the technical term for this is, but I call it the gradient bar. Okay, so get your gradient adjusted how you like it. Then we'll go back up, we'll get our selector tool back. We want to turn back on our stroke value. Okay, and that's what we have so far. Now to finish this off, what we need to do is create an outer shadow so it looks like it's sitting on top of the page. So to do that, we'll go ahead and select all three of the layers, the stroke, the main, and the gray. We're going to group them, Command G or Control G. Okay, we're going to go to our effects, and we want to do an outer shadow. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of a radius and then an offset, and there you have it. That's how easy it is to create that three-dimensional effect in Affinity Designer. Now you can use this technique to create that depth, that illusion of 3 dimensions. You can also apply patterns, colors. You can divide it up into sections and layer the different colors. You can apply textures. So there's just a lot you can do with this. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate that. It really does make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and happy creating.